Very good morning to all of you, senior professors, colleagues, very esteemed juniors. I didn't really expect to be the opening batsman today. I was very sure Rohit would do this excellent digital pathology presentation, and I could take it from there. So I guess we'll still mentally imagine that talk is done, and we will start off with AI. So obviously, it's a very hot topic. We have people from across the world gathered here today to talk about it. And in fact, at the very outset, I'm really grateful to Milab for this opportunity because it gave me the chance to do a really deep dive. I mean, I have been dabbling in AI for over 7-8 years now, but and we are getting a little bit more deeper into it. But I realize how far we are behind the rest of the world. It's not just the Western world, but China as well. And the need very much is for collaboration, right? Is to develop these large data sets, to collaborate, to work together, and then maybe we'll make some progress. So with that disclaimer, so in pathology, of course, the critical thing, of course, was the development of digital pathology. Unlike radiology, which is naturally in a DICOM format and easily lends itself to AI, pathology, glass slides had to be digitized. So that was the big bottleneck. And the development of the digital infrastructure took a very long time. So, but once the slides were digitized and digitization picked up, principally during the COVID period, then there was no stopping development of AI in pathology. So in today's talk, principally, why is AI now important? What can we realistically do today? What is its role in precision medicine? And what should the pathologists do in an AI-enabled future? How should they prepare for it? And because Dr. Milab said this is an early adopter session, I'm going to talk a little bit in detail about my own journey. So two aspects to this. I mean, of course, the slides had to be digitized, but once they are, pathology is image and data rich, and obviously quantification is a big chunk of that. And also now it's at the very core of precision medicine. So that is one aspect, and at the other side, you have pathologists. Right? We have moved from being mere morphologists sitting at our microscope and giving descriptions and giving a morphologic diagnosis. We are expected now to integrate clinical information, molecular information, IHC data, and come up with an integrated diagnosis. And obviously, with the glut of information, the deluge of information that we are all swamped with, this is virtually impossible for any human being to stay on top of. So this is why AI steps in, and it provides us those valuable tools which enables us to be really working in tandem with the rest of the medical world. Okay, so again, this is the digital pathology evolution. Obviously, you need the slide to be scanned, you need the digital image, which then serves as the basis for image analysis, for the development of algorithms, and for pathologists' review. So the key message at the very outset, no digital pathology, no AI. So, and how did it evolve? Actually, the technical side also needed to catch up. The engineering side and the technical side of it had to catch up. And this is only literally in the last 15 years that it actually has begun to make sense. So initially in the 60s and 70s, we had rule-based systems where everything had to be coded for. In fact, I'm sure many of you are aware, for the last 30 or 40 years, hormone receptor analysis in the US has been image guided. There has been image analysis, but this is not the equivalent of our modern day AI tools. It is specifically coded, right? Those image analysis tools predate our current clinical AI, and there were specific tasks that somebody had to code in. So, so those were the machine learning days. So the technology itself evolved from rule-based systems to machine learning. Machine learning, the algorithms could learn from data without specific explicit programming. And from this evolved deep learning, which is now the cornerstone of most of the work that we do. So essentially multi-layered neural networks which can learn hierarchically, automatically from large-scale data. So this is what improved accuracy. So the development of deep learning tools, which was as late as 2012, 2015, was when computational pathology really took off. Between 2000 and 2010, digitization was happening. And then in early 2011, 2012, the deep learning tools were available. These were married, and then we had the earliest computational pathology studies and papers. So with computational pathology, basically there's an integration of deep learning with digital pathology, which allows us to do this at scale. Onwards to foundation models and multimodal AI, I'll be talking more about this. So what is computational pathology? Computational pathology is the AI equivalent of image analysis. I mean, what we traditionally do at the microscope, we look into the microscope, we interpret the morphology. This is very much AI looking at the digital image and analyzing it, but with a very surprising spin-off. Clearly, AI is able to see far more than the human eye is able to. So not only did it spew out cancer detection and the routine diagnostic applications, but also strangely, it could predict molecular genomic mutations, and of course, it could come up with prognostic predictions, and it is ideally suited for quantitative tasks. So this is what happened. This was the first step. Image analysis equals computational pathology. And this is the timeline. 3 major papers. Again, stunning landmark papers. The first one was Chameleon. This was structured as a challenge to the AI community. The first version of it was in 2016, wasn't as effective as the one in 2017. Essentially, AI developers were asked to develop tools to pick up cancer metastasis, breast cancer metastasis in lymph nodes. And the 2017 version actually matched expert pathologists. So this was the first success for AI. It showed that AI in the right hands could be a high-level cancer diagnostic tool. Codre et al., this is the most stunning revelation actually, showed that just by morphological analysis, just by the use of computational pathology, they could actually predict key genomic mutations, EGFR, KRAS, STK11. And the background was that the tissue actually contains this molecular information. Of course, again, way beyond the human eye, but the AI tool was able to pick it up and reliably predict the presence of these genomic mutations. So this was the establishment of AI as a molecular predicting tool. And the third paper, equally landmark, Campanella et al., they trained their model with 44,000 slides. And till this point of time, the models that were trained needed pixel level annotations. They needed, and that's really, again, labor intense, again a bottleneck, because we just don't have that many pathologists. So here they used 44,000 slides with just label level diagnosis. They didn't actually annotate the slide, they just gave a diagnosis, and then they showed that AI could reliably and accurately give a diagnosis just based on this weakly supervised learning. So we moved from closely supervised learning to weakly supervised learning. And also this enabled scaling, right? Most of the current foundation day models are based on this. These foundation models have been developed on like tens of thousands of slides. I will talk about that in the next slide. So these were the 3 key landmark studies and publications which are, in my mind, the cornerstone for modern day computational pathology. Chameleon asked, can AI detect cancer? And proved that it was a reliable diagnostician. Campanella and et al. Asked if it could be scaled up, right? If you could just give it a labeled slide, say this is cancer, this is inflammation, would it reliably predict that? And that was also proven. So this allowed AI to be scaled up. And Codre et al. Asked if it could predict genomics. And again, this is a boon in settings with resource crunches. Obviously, molecular testing is not universally available. Now, if you can have a simple AI tool which can predict this, that's also tremendous success. So together, these 3 studies established modern-day computational pathology as we know it. This led in turn to foundation models. Like I said, these are really large data sets. These are algorithms trained on literally millions of slides, right? From the big centers, Harvard, MSK, Page AI. So the big groups have created these foundation models, and they have thrown millions of slides, some with patch annotations, some just with weakly supervised learning. And here, the purpose was not task-specific. To this point, most AI tools were task-specific. You created an algorithm to say count mitosis or to quantify ERPR. Here, the purpose was for the algorithm to learn general pathology, to learn tissue architecture, to look at stromal patterns, to look at inflammation, to look at tumor-stroma interfaces. So, and then because of this generalization, it's moved away from specific task to more general functions, it has a lot more value downstream. So the foundation models actually are the foundation for current day agentic and multimodal AI. So Worko was actually from the MSK pipeline, 1.9 million slides. The Uni was actually an initial offering, again from Harvard, from what is popularly known as Mahmood's lab. I don't know if you've heard of this. But their latest offering is something called Titan, and this is amazing. This was published in Nature in 2025. So Titan stands for Transformer-Based Pathology Image and Text Alignment Network. So this is a next-gen foundation model in the sense not only has it had access to, if you see 336,000 whole slide images, it was also fed with molecular data. So it really understands tumor biology. So not only is it able to do the image analysis, but it had access to molecular data across all these slides. So it is able to actually predict the behavior of the lesion. So yeah, this was a landmark publication in Nature in 2025. To finally state of the art, where we are today. So how does agentic AI work? So the input is usually whole slide images, all your molecular data, FISH, IHC, and other pathology data. The AI model then does image analysis, analyzes the slide, identifying cells, structures, and patterns. And then it extracts key features, morphology, biomarkers, spatial context. It correlates these findings, this image analysis, with the medical knowledge base that it now has. And it also has access to the patient data. So in that particular patient's context, it generates differential diagnosis and explains the rationale. It also goes one step ahead and suggests treatment options, prognostic insights, and next steps as well. But at the top of the loop, of this loop, is the pathologist, who's then still required to review and validate the outputs of AI and give their final diagnosis, final verdict. Again, by a feedback loop mechanism, most serious agentic AI models, they have this process of continuous learning. So the pathologist then provides feedback on the performance of that model, and with every case that it sees, like any of us, like the way we have learned pathology, with every case we learn. So the model also improves with every case that it actually reports out. And what is the final outcome? Better patient care. AI pathologists are far better together. So to summarize, how did AI evolve in pathology? From the digitization boost in 2000s to early AI development between 2010 and 15, development of deep learning modules, integration into clinical workflow, and finally the intelligent future, the AI co-pilot, our agentic co-pilot for pathologists. So what are current applications? I have spoken about most of these. Again, you know, it is a diagnostician par excellence. It can be used to mark slides, right? Small metastatic deposits, that odd mitosis that you'll have to take hours to hunt out, minimum residual disease. So obviously this, it can do very well. And then for quantification. Again, quantification, very subjective, manual task. If you have to really count 1,000 nuclei, it's impossible. Nobody has the time. So AI does this perfectly. It can scan literally thousands of cells, and it can give you very accurate quantified data. And this is critical in the age of precision medicine, right, where every biomarker has its cutoff. And it's not humanly possible to do that accurately, but AI does this very well. I've spoken about this as well. Its ability to extract hidden molecular information from the H&D. So it can predict genomic features, gene mutations, tumor mutational signatures. Some landmark papers, MSI prediction, colorectal endometrial cancer, EGFR mutation prediction, lung adenocarcinoma. And it can develop on the basis of this, it can develop prognostic models across multiple tumor types. This as well, again, from our large foundation models, it can look at the tumor microenvironment and spatial biology. It can quantify immune infiltrates, stromal interactions, lymphoid structures. It can understand spatial architecture. This has relevance for immunotherapy and precision oncology, and also for biomarker discovery. And finally, last but not the least, a very pragmatic and practical application for workflow optimization. At this juncture, my personal experience, the UK company that we work for, Diagnexia, so they have spent the last 6-7 years and like multiple million pounds in developing their AI workflow. They have operations over 3 continents. They have more than 300 plus pathologists onboarded. So the workflow is entirely AI driven. It has to allot cases by subspecialization, by complexity, by time zone. It triages cases as urgent and non-urgent. Also monitor stats, auto-assigns, auto-unassigns. Also, when you're actually looking at the slide, it provides this little heat maps just to ensure that you have looked at the slide. The managerial team constantly audits that, right? You could be looking at if there are, say, 3 sections on a slide and you looked at just the one. So for legal purposes, they ensure that you look and at the entire slide and you've covered it. So it has so much of functionality. I think it's one of the best pathology workflow softwares available out there. Like I said, it allows for triage and prioritization, image quality checks, whether there are floaters, whether the scan is out of focus, and then also supports administrative review. So it ensures faster turnaround times and enhanced accuracy. So coming to the next section, which is challenges and best practices. So I have spoken about this as well. Why did AI in pathology take so long to develop? I think the biggest bottleneck was waiting for the digital infrastructure to develop. Even when it did develop, the file sizes were very big. There was always, I mean, the pre-COVID days, I'll talk about it when I'm talking about my journey. File sizes were too big. There was fear of loss of fidelity, right? When it is transmitted, for instance, across the ocean, are you really getting all the information? There were concerns for data breaches. So the major bottleneck was in the development of digital infrastructure. Also, again, there was need for large annotated data sets which were not available. And there was workforce and regulatory barriers. There was a lack of integration with laboratory systems. Again, from my experience in UK, in 2018, I actually I was doing my digital pathology validation per Royal College guidelines with a big group called Pathlinks. So there, they were struggling. I mean, they were digital for almost 15 years by then. They had a room this size with huge machines, like legacy machines from Siemens, and they were trying to move to a newer supplier. But the workflow, the digital workflow was separate from their LIS. So you had to look at 2 screens. There were these 2 mega screens on my desk. The monitors were really big. So everything used to take 3 or 4 times the usual time. I really struggled to report out tonsils because there it is, blown up on that big screen, right? What would probably take you 10 seconds as a senior pathologist would take me hours because I had to trawl through miles of screen space. And from there, I think we have progressed quite a bit. So why is it accelerating now? For all the aforementioned reasons. Computational power has increased, larger digital pathology sets are available, foundation models are now available, and there's increasing demand for precision medicine. So what are the pitfalls? Basically, data bias is a very serious issue. So the AI is as good as the data you feed it in. Garbage in, garbage out, that really holds true for all AI models. And there is also bias. If it has been trained on particular sections from your lab, it is used to those. It might not perform as well on other, when there are other variables. There could be underrepresentation of certain populations. As you see, it is picking up molecular information. You'd be surprised that it can actually, there is racial differences as well. You would think a prostate carcinoma in Africa would be the same as a prostate carcinoma in the US. You must all have heard of Page AI. They had developed one of the first FDA-approved tools for prostate cancer scoring. When one of their own registrars, he took it to his hometown in Namibia or something, it utterly failed. So clearly, it is seeing far beyond what we are able to comprehend. So certain populations could be underrepresented. Obviously, maybe not enough tumor diversity, not enough morphological diversity. So all these things will affect the way the model functions. Pre-analytical variants, the scanners that you use, the quality of your tissues, your section thickness, image resolution. So all this means that a model that was trained in one laboratory might not really function in another. Overfitting. So this used to be the favorite buzzword from our technical team. So principally, if you give it a very tight fit, right? When we were developing our cervical AI algorithm, so the chief developer used to keep telling me, don't overfit, right? Give it a few degrees of leeway. So even if we thought this was reactive, but the nucleus was enlarged, we would still flag it up. If you really tight-fitted it, if you gave it perfect cases, it will not be able to pick out variations. So overfitting is also a serious problem, and this actually hampers real-world deployment. And this is another concern, right? And to this day, this does puzzle me. You're putting in something and it is able to interpret it, but you really don't know what reasoning it has used. Why is it giving you these answers, right? I mean, we do work with some online tools. There are many now available. Free online images, free online tools, you put it together, they spew out answers. But we really don't know how they are doing it. So this is the black box effect, which means you can never really trust it. If you don't know how it is coming up with that answer, you can never really trust it. So to overcome these issues now, heat maps, for instance, will show you, what has it identified, what areas is it saying are malignant, what areas does it think it's stroma, what areas does it feel is inflamed. So generation of heat maps, attention maps, and more explainable AI approaches are now developing. So what are best practices for safe clinical implementation, right? We have to follow rigorous standards. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But for moving from clinical research to actual adoption, external validation is really critical for all the factors that I've mentioned. To make sure that you have enough of a data set diversity, different populations, your model, AI model is exposed to other scanners, other labs. So external validation is the key for reliable AI. Multi-site validation, independent data sets, diverse scanners, diverse patient populations. So this is essential before clinical deployment to ensure that your product is actually reliable. And finally, right, we are always here to provide the final diagnosis. AI is never going to be trusted on its own. My brother is part of our software company, and he was saying the reality is now flipped. Earlier, humans were doing work, and machines were checking them. Now, machines are doing the work, and we are on top of the pyramid. We have to check their work. So which means you have to be on top of that pyramid, right? This is something I tell my juniors every day as well. If you really want to survive in an AI-enabled world, you have to be better than AI. Right? You have to be right on top of that pyramid. You have to be so subspecialized. You have to know so much that you should be able to pick up any errors that AI is making. So obviously, AI is only a pathology assist. Pathologists still remain responsible for final clinical correlation, the contextual interpretation, quality assurance, and of course, the final diagnosis. Together, AI and pathologists can deliver better care. So again, the golden rule is that even all the models that I was talking about, all those landmark papers, nothing is in clinical use yet. And this is the reason. There is a huge gap between very good research and developmental models and their clinical utility. Even the ones which have got FDA approval are really not up to the mark. So it's still a long way to go for AI to be a reliable clinical tool. Okay, so this is the future pathologist. Will have to have an idea of morphology. The AI is going to do all that. You have to sit on top of that pyramid, and you have to be AI-enabled pathologists. Okay, very briefly, I've already mentioned a lot of this. 2005, there are some errors on this slide. 2005 was my first exposure. As a trainee in UK, many of our slide seminars were digital. Aperio was just developing, and we used to get slides from Leeds. By 2008, when I was a consultant, many of our EQUAs were digital. Like I said, in 2017-18, I did my Royal College validation, worked with a couple of companies, one called Pixel and a company called Onward Analytics in 2017 and 18, and we did a lot of work on breast cancer grading and MSI in colorectal cancer. In 2022, we installed our Hamamatsu whole slide scanner, and a lot of our internal workflow was at that point digitized. So in September 2023, from September 2023 onwards, we've been reporting digitally for Dr. Ravi Kannan. He was the Magsaysay Award winner a couple of years ago, and he serves the entire Northeast. So he has this big scanners, but no pathologists. So we do all his pathology for him, including his frozen sections. So we've been doing that for the last 2 or 3 years. They had Roche scanners, but Roche was not prepared to provide the viewing software. So we had to download QPath, which is a freely available software to actually view. From July 2024 onwards, we have been reporting a lot of NHS pathology through Diagnexia. Sorry, just a couple more slides. Am I short on time? Okay, right. About ViewHamed data. I've spoken about this in multiple platforms. It was a dream project. right? Having trained in UK and having seen the impact of a good, well-run cervical screening program, the dream literally from the day I landed in India was to have some sort of screening program in India. Actually, that thing came to fruition only in 2021 or 22 in the post-COVID world, when my brother and his team, with almost 30 years of software and AI development in the industrial side, they moved to Hyderabad, and I asked them if they could develop a tool. So, and that was when I really converted into an AI believer. I was skeptical. I thought it will never develop the kind of cognitive skills that are necessary to be a good pathologist. But it was amazing. I mean, the developer, within about a week, he took images from the net and used some software. Within a week, we are putting in slides and it's spewing out answers. So that was really a revealing moment. The last 2 or 3 years, we have, of course, and to illustrate many of the points that I have been making, we've been doing extensive external validation. We've been using other scanners. We've been working with other labs as part of our ICMR validation. At this moment, more than 40 to 50,000 cases we have run with our Survey AI. We are in the process of analyzing the data and maybe writing it up very soon. But we worked with like multiple partners: AIMS Jodhpur, KGH Vizag, GMH Tirupati. Different scanners, different stains, different pathologists interpreting it. So it is going through that rigorous external validation as we speak. But then we have pivoted to this. Principally, and again, this is an anecdote, when the team met the chairperson at this Homi Bhabha Cancer Institute, he said, don't even come to me with this expensive pieces of equipment. It's nothing. If you can give me something which is within my budget, I'll work with you, which actually motivated the team to come up with this beautiful little box, 3D printed. I won't mention the cost because I have my marketing head here and he's not going to like it. But I can tell you it's a fraction of the cost. We purchased that Hamamatsu at 50 lakhs, which was a backbreaker for a standalone lab, bootstrap lab. It really killed my finances, but it was my passion which drove me to buy that. But this is a fraction of that cost, I can tell you. And not only that, it's an all-in-one. It has an NVIDIA chip embedded in it, and it has the AI software embedded in it. So this is good to go. We are working with ICMR. I hope somebody in the government will really take this up. This is like next to nothing in terms of cost. It doesn't need a pathologist. ICMR was very clear. The sensitivity for our AI cervical cancer tool is about 99 to 100%. The specificity with the current iteration is about 93 to 94%. So you feed in the slide, the AI reads the slide, and then you have a screen. There's a yes, no answer. So everything that is no, which is about 93% of women, can just go home. So this can be installed in every PHC across the country. That's the dream. You can train ASHA workers to run it, no specialized equipment. It's just a pap smear at the end of the day. LBC, of course. We brought down the costs of the LBC kit. We have designed automated machines to actually prepare it. So anywhere in the country, any remote corner, and there is no need for net connectivity. It is on the edge, right? So we are hoping, right, that it will be deployed not only in India, where Africa, for instance, where there's a resource crunch, and there's a high incidence of cervical cancer. So currently, we have started working on EBUS TBNA samples, and this is again to develop like a ROSE model, initially screening, right? Again for use in remote areas where there aren't that many pathologists. We are working on a few other projects as well, a HER2 IHC scoring system with a Korean group. We are looking at placental histopathology with a group in Coimbatore. And we are also working on a low-cost digital PCR platform with a group in Germany. So take-home messages. Like I said, digital pathology is the foundation of computational pathology. AI is already improving diagnosis and biomarker assessment. Computational pathology also enables molecular and prognostic prediction. Multimodal AI or agentic AI will drive the next generation of precision oncology. Successful implementation requires validation, governance, and pathology oversight. So a call to action to all pathologists. Learn AI fundamentals and core concepts. Embrace digital pathology workflows. Participate in AI validation studies. Collaborate with engineers and data scientists, because we are at that crossroads where there is a major conglomeration of technology with the medical side. And also, finally, AI will augment pathologists, will not replace them. But if we are smart and we are sensible, we can be on top of that pyramid. Not only will we be giving diagnosis, we'll be giving prognostic information. We'll even be giving treatment recommendations, right? So you're finally at that point where pathologists and pathology can be at the core of precision medicine. So I think this is a serious call to all of us to get together and embrace AI. Thank you.